Hello, everyone in the LinkedIn and YouTube space. Coming to you through a first time platform change. I'm using Restream to actually hit both platforms at the same time. Now, why am I coming to you? Well, that's a big, long story. It's been a long time since I've done a stream. It's been a long time since I've recorded a video and released it to the public. That may change. We'll see. There's a lot of things in the works, but I'm gonna leave all of that to a future discussion once things have solidified a little bit more. For now, I just thought this would be an awesome topic to just chat with you about and interact with you on. That's one of the keys. You guys, if you guys know me from previous videos you've gone through with me or just the past, you know that I can talk forever. And that makes a pretty long and dull situation. So please, as you're listening to this live stream, this is live, chat in. Thanks, Austin, for being the first one. Chat in over on the little chat tab of whatever platform you're on. Now, I'm still learning to see how this platform works. So, like I said, I haven't tested this. This is my test. So I thought great to be with you guys. The couple more that are chatting in there. Thank you. I thought, what better way to step back into the streaming space than to talk about what does ChatGPT do for education? Now, first off, uh, the background on this. If you haven't heard of ChatGPT, you've probably been living under a rock, but I'm going to explain it just for the sake of it, because I pretty much tell everybody, my barber, the Target checkout clerk, whoever I'm in, I'm like, hey, have you heard of ChatGPT? And they're like, oh, and we usually will end up having a conversation about it. But ChatGPT is, I would say, the first user-facing, customer-facing implementation. I shouldn't even say first. I would say widespread customer implementation of AI, which takes everything to a whole new level, consolidates a whole bunch of information, and allows some form of intelligence to answer you. Now, a couple of people asking, can you record this? Great to see you again. Thanks. And I believe it is being recorded, so you can watch this at a later time if you'd like to. So in a nutshell, ChatGPT will change the world. I have no doubt about it. There was about 2 months ago, I was at a board meeting and I said, hey, there's this thing called ChatGPT. My guess is you'll hear a lot about it in probably the next month or so. The next day, literally everybody was like, I don't know if you caused it. I didn't cause it, but I'm seeing it in the news of it. Like, it's hitting me everywhere. ChatGPT is changing the world. So what I want to focus on in this discussion is how do I see this impacting education? Because many of you know I come from an education background. How do I see this impacting the way that we learn? And I would love to hear your thoughts as I'm talking. So please chat in as I'm seeing a lot of folks chatting in. I can't keep up with a lot of people are saying, great to see you. It's great to see you too, as much as I can. But chat in your thoughts on how you see it impacting education. So the first way that I see this impacting education is this represents a totally new and far more efficient method of information gathering. I'm old enough to know the world before there was a Google, right? Back when we had Dewey Decimal System and you went to the library and you gathered books. And I remember when Google came out, education was in an uproar because people were like, well, you don't have to go there anymore. And I'm seeing a lot of the same reaction from education institutions. There's already schools banning the use of ChatGPT. And I think you and I both know that's not going to last. It's just not. And so education has to evolve outside of a lot of the simple fact finding and outside of the rote memorization style, or nowadays you can have ChatGPT write the essay for you. Answer your exam questions, as Mertken is saying in there. I mean, there's all kinds of ways that you can now use ChatGPT to do your assignments for you. So education will need to evolve. to ask things that require more of the students. Now, of course, there will always be exams. There will always be ways of restricting the student from using something like ChatGPT, just like you can't go Google things during an exam today. But what I'm looking for is, how does this impact the real world? I see ChatGPT as being the next evolution of Google. As in, if Google doesn't adopt and evolve, just like Bing, many people are looking now, how do we integrate this into our search engines? If they don't evolve, I would say there's going to be a time where Google is now obsolete and replaced by something that's far more efficient. So initially, when it comes to education, I'm seeing ChatGPT as being a far more efficient way of gathering information. However, um, I've had a lot of conversations at VIA. If those of you that don't know, I know a lot of you know me from CBT Nuggets and YouTube. A lot of the training I've done in the past. I am no longer with CBT Nuggets. I haven't been, although my videos live on there for about 3 years. But about 12 years ago, I started a company that does the stuff that I teach, called VIA, and we actually do IT technology implementations in education, in schools, primarily focused on charter schools. And so one of the things that I'm doing is I'm talking to some of the folks that I work with. I'm like, how do you see this impacting? And I think one of the folks said it very well. And I'm gonna read what they said. They said ChatGPT is an amplifier and an accelerator of your existing skills and giftings. I'm going to say that again. ChatGPT is an amplifier and an accelerator of your existing skills and giftings. We all of you that are listening to me right now, whether it be live or via recording, you all have a curse. It's called the curse of knowledge. Once you know something, it's impossible to know what it's like to not know that thing. It's very difficult anyway. Once you know, for example, I'll take a networking topic. Once you know how to subnet, it's really hard to think back to what was it like before I knew that. Like when somebody's like, I just don't get this. I mean, a common answer is like, well, you should. Duh. It's it's binary. You just like increment your right, but it's impossible to know what it's like. So when you introduce ChatGPT, and all of us that are filled with knowledge are looking at it and going, oh my gosh, I've heard people like, this obsoletes mankind. And I'm like, that's a big statement, right? Like, we're done as a human race. And there's a whole avenue of AI that we could go down that I won't. Of like, where does this go? What are the dangers of AI? There's plenty of discussion. I'm talking more so education. What I'm seeing now is that this totally obliterates folks that know what to do, but not why they do it. ChatGPT, I've said for many years, I remember teaching classes about Cisco devices or Microsoft, and we'd get to the labs, right? And I'm talking when I was in front of a classroom, and people pull out their lab books, and the lab guide always have like, it's like, okay, configure your, let's just say your router for OSPF. Type in configure terminal. Type in router OSPF 5, right? And it's putting it in bold letters. And I would always stop people that are doing that. I go, whoa, guys, make sure you don't type in just what's in bold, because you'll get to the end of the exercise. It'll say, congratulations, you've completed the exercise, but you'll have no idea what you've done, right? And so that's what I would call the step followers. ChatGPT, I feel, will completely obliterate folks that are doing things, but they're not too sure why they're doing what they're doing, right? You've been troubleshooting an issue in a technical environment. You're like, I don't know, let's try this, let's try this, let's try that. The ChatGPT will take out a lot of, you need to understand a lot of the why. The what and the how will be filled in. And that's why we were saying ChatGPT is an amplifier and an accelerator of your existing skills. For example, you might know how to configure a whole bunch of Cisco devices, but you don't know how to do it on Aruba or you don't know how to do it on Fortinet, right? And so that's okay. As long as you understand the why and what you're after, ChatGPT can tell you how. How do I do this on a Cisco based device, right? How do I do it? And it can fill in. I was just before I was doing this, I was sitting there and I go, I need to let's say I need to filter a network 100.1.1.0 out of the BGP table that I'm receiving from this ISP. And I was typing this into ChatGPT. I'm like, I'm on a Cisco router. What would I type to make this happen? And it spits out in perfect syntax a prefix filter that does exactly what I'm after. I knew what I wanted. I knew why I wanted it. ChatGPT filled in the how. But then I started thinking, okay, a novice looking at that be like, see, I don't need to know anything about BGP. I'm like, well, number one, how did you know that you wanted to filter a certain network out? And once you've got this beautiful syntax, I sure hope your ISP router isn't a blank slate and you're just copying and pasting this one thing in. You have to think, well, how does this impact the existing prefix list? How does it? I mean, there's a whole lot of complexity. Now, I do see a future of a lot more self-healing networks. I think we've heard that marketing slogan for quite some time, right? But I mean, really self-healing networks, wireless networks that automatically see drops and can retune themselves based on a lot of the AI backend that's powering them. I see that in the future, but I see humans, us, learning in a way that is far more focused on understanding why we're doing something and what we're trying to accomplish than the actual how we do it. I feel like that's going to be filled in a lot more by AI. I think that ChatGPT will enhance your trade. I think it can eliminate one thing I've learned from stepping into the business owner world and learning a lot about growing a business and scaling and handling a lot of stuff that comes up that I never even saw coming. I always thought the biggest thing that I've learned is just because you're good at something doesn't necessarily mean that you're automatically good at running a business that does that thing that you're good at, right? There's a whole other realm of knowledge that needs to be put in place. But one thing that you'll find as you continue on your journey of education is how much stuff you put in here is really limited. And the amount of stuff that you can maintain in here is really limited, right? So focus your experience on the stuff and the stuff that you really focus on the stuff that needs to stay in here. ChatGPT, I feel, can allow a lot of the stuff that we used to have to just resort to rote memorization to go away, right? Because it will maintain a lot of that stuff for us. So, so I'll give you an example. We're at VIA, we're already teaching our folks that are on the help desk. We call it One Desk. Your first step before you escalate to another level is to take whatever the customer is asking you into ChatGPT and ask it first, right? Hey, somebody just came in, they're not able to print because it gives them this error message, right? Ask ChatGPT, what does that mean? I've already seen a lot of help desks and websites replacing a lot of their initial tier one with a ChatGPT enabled presence. They configure its personality, if you will, and people are talking to ChatGPT without even knowing it, right? So that should tell you already. Begin using ChatGPT to take out the stuff that you don't want to fill your mind with, right? Fill your mind with the stuff that really matters, the why and the what that you're going after. The how will actually be filled in. So let me just take a moment because the questions and thoughts have been coming in too fast. I try to read as I'm talking, and it just caused me to do exactly what I'm doing right now. So let me just catch up. We've got Pravin who says it's helping me to create a PowerShell script to automate most daily tasks. Pravin, that is an awesome use of ChatGPT. Like, there's things that we all do on a day-to-day basis. And that's been my biggest learning curve, is training myself to go there. I still go to Google. That's my, Google this. And I'm sure most of us do when we run into something. I've already started to retrain my own default behaviors to say, okay, let me just my wife hates it, but I'm like, let's ask ChatGPT, right? It's got all the answers to everything, right? But start using ChatGPT, start thinking in a way to say, okay, what does my daily schedule, my daily routine consist of that could be eliminated this? I've always said ChatGPT, when I first saw it, that's how I describe it. It's like I found a personal assistant for everybody. Like it can rephrase my emails in a way that no one else could, right? It can write emails for me. A lot of the stuff that I would just pour tons of time and thought, now I can just say, hey, here's some raw thought, make this sound professional, right? It's an accelerator and an enhancer of existing skill. Do you see why we say that now? So Pravin, great thought there. Um, Jake, do you think ChatGPT can keep up on how quickly technology changes? My understanding is it doesn't know anything about post 2021. So in theory, it doesn't know about a lot of zero touch, SASE configurations. Yeah. In theory, I've seen some stuff. I've asked it some stuff where I'm like, yeah, it has some knowledge beyond what it says it has knowledge of. But at the same time, I'm also looking to a future, Jake, where this isn't isolated from the internet. Currently, ChatGPT, if you didn't know, is isolated from internet knowledge. So if you were to ask, I don't know, some current event, it would say, I don't know these things, right? However, I don't see that lasting forever. I see that actually being a very short window before it's connected. Jesse, humans are great at remembering and correlating concepts. We forget the code and commands. Yes. Sina, I used ChatGPT to ask some in-depth questions about BGP. Sometimes asking the right question, oh, this is such a good thing. Sometimes asking a right question is hard because of the whole scenario being really complicated. This goes back to the why and the what. Humans still have to be able to look at a situation, at least in the version we're in, we have to be able to look at a situation and go, okay, I have a general idea of the direction I want to go. Or often, Sina, to go back to your question, I've used ChatGPT to even say, what are the best questions I should be asking to help solve this? I'll come back to that in just a second, because that's going to get into my final point on how would you use ChatGPT. I'll get to that in just a second. Last question I'll look at. Jack is saying, I've used to help me define health checks for firewalls as part of an audit. Like you said, if you have existing skills, it enhances it. And yes, that's where I come back to. We all have the curse of knowledge. Use it, right? We look at ChatGPT. I think I've heard just about everybody be like, ChatGPT will be the end of and fill in the career right here. I mean, I've been hearing that since Small Business Server from Microsoft. They're like, oh, system admins are dead because Small Business Server, anybody can play. That didn't go so well, right? And I've been hearing that year over year. Humans are going to be around for a long time. Our knowledge is going to be needed. Now, I believe ChatGPT will accelerate and evolve how fast we can get places, just like Google did. I mean, just like no longer having to go to a library and pull out books based on Dewey Decimal, Google is an accelerator. ChatGPT, it's just the next step. It will accelerate and enhance existing skills and knowledge. So last thing I want to talk about, and then I'll just open up for general questions. Joe just threw in a great question. Get to that in a sec, Joe. If I were studying right now, if I were a student, which we all should be learning things, how would I use ChatGPT to help me grow and learn? Which is the whole point of this live stream. How does this impact education? Well, first off, I want to show you this. Somebody just showed this to me. Hang on, let me see if this will work. Let's try this. Oh, yep, sort of did. But that was what I was looking for. Look at this. Remember Khan Academy? Remember that guy who created a lot of the free education? So Khan Academy, this is where and this should tell you something, which I could riff on this for probably the next hour. I'm not going to, but Khan Academy has pretty fantastic free education for thousands and thousands of topics. Like you can just go and stream videos, no login. You just get this stuff, right? And that should already be planting a seed in your mind that education isn't necessarily about people finding the information. It's all out there. It's all free. It's all accessible. Education is becoming more and more uh, widely available, right? Um, that's some of the mission of Khan Academy. But I'm gonna stop riffing on that because look at this. They now have this AI guide. What they're doing is they're integrating what I'll call is ChatGPT in its own form. They're limiting it. So look at this. They have, for instance, tutoring for all. You know, having this little custom ChatGPT icon that says, "Can't you just tell me the answer?" Is what a student is typing in. No, it's important you learn how to do this yourself. What do you think you need to do when you multiply two by so you can actually customize. And I mean, really what they've done is fed ChatGPT some parameters to say, don't just give people the answer, tutor them, walk them through. And so they're already doing this. So they're already, oh no, now I've got to figure out how to stop sharing my screen. One sec. New platform. I'm learning. There. Yes. So it's already happening. We're already seeing online institutions like Khan Academy figure out how to tutor students using ChatGPT, and that's what I would do. I would say number one, if I were studying something, first off, knowing the path that I'm studying is critical because there's too many paths nowadays. So hone in on a path. Once I'm studying, use ChatGPT as your own study buddy, your pal. I do. So I'll sit there. It's almost creepy natural where I'm sitting on my phone. I've got a little shortcut to ChatGPT. I'm like, I'm running into this. I'm seeing this. What do you think? Like, I'm talking to ChatGPT like it's my friend. And I've got this saved chat where I've already got its personality where I'm like, you'll be the friend that I want you to be, right? I've already customized how it replies to me and things like that to where I'm like, it's a little too natural, right? That this weird relationship I have with ChatGPT. But that's what I would do if I were. Let's just say I was starting over. And I'm like, okay, I'm in school or I'm studying for a certification. I would make ChatGPT my number one study buddy all the time, right? I'm having trouble with this. What do I do? Or I might say, hey, I want to do this. Give me a starting point. Like I want to be a network engineer, or I want to be, I've done it. I want to be a rock star. What do I need to do? And here it breaks it down. And you go, okay, well, based on those steps, tell me more about step number 3, right? Give me a starting point. Answer questions about this. I would also use ChatGPT as a quiz guide. Give me a quiz question about let's try it. As I'm thinking about this, I'm like, I should try this. So hang on. Share. So ChatGPT 4, or I should say just GPT 4 in general. I wasn't planning on doing this, but you get to see all my previous see, look at this. How do you clean chicken poop off of sidewalks? Me and ChatGPT, we're friends. Let's get this out of here. All right. So if I were studying, let's just say I was studying CCNA topics, I would say, give me a quiz question on VLANs for CCNA. There we go. So allow it to generate questions that would quiz my own knowledge. Am I learning this? Now I've got it on ChatGPT 4, which is really slow, at least at the time of this live stream. But the 3.5 or whatever versions they have come out differently. And so I can say, is it? And I could fill it. And the beauty of ChatGPT is it's going to generate wildly unique quiz questions every single time. Hang on, I've lost myself. Here we go. So I would use it as my study buddy. I would use it as a personal tutor. I would use it as a quiz question generator. I would use it to give me a starting point if I'm getting started in a new topic of like, okay, what are the things that I should know to enhance this, to hone in my knowledge. I have a feeling ChatGPT for education, it's not branded. I'm just saying in the world of education, ChatGPT will be a game changer in how people learn, as in they will be able to funnel their knowledge to exactly what they want to know. And in that is a danger as well, because sometimes we don't know what we want to know. And we only discover it by being introduced to topics that maybe we would have never even looked for in the first place. So I think we could do a whole session on the negatives of using ChatGPT. For now, I'm going to go back to the statement that we came up with it via. ChatGPT is an awesome amplifier and accelerator of your existing skill and knowledge. It can't fill in what you don't know, which is sometimes the most valuable stuff that is out there. So I'll stop there. Let me flip over to the chat, and then we'll go on. I see. I love BX. He's like, it's too woke. Actually, chat. From what I understand, ChatGPT 4 is less woke than the previous versions of ChatGPT. And trust me, we could go into a whole realm of discussion on that. So let me just make sure I catch some of the other ones that people have chatted in. So Joe, what are your thoughts on how to protect factual data that ChatGPT could pull from? That is a great question. And ChatGPT itself will tell you, I am flawed. It was built from an initial set of what is known as seed data, right? They built ChatGPT, and I'll call OpenAI, the engine behind ChatGPT, with a lot of seed data. All of that data may mean that there are untruths, wrong answers introduced into ChatGPT. I have yet now, outside of what BX said, the woke world, I have yet to really see a lot of the inaccuracies. Everything that I've chatted with ChatGPT so far has been accurate, but that is true. There may be factual inaccuracies that are introduced there. Adia saying, he said, it will not replace us. It can be a great help instead. Totally agree with that. I even in preparing for this discussion, my mind started going in places where I'm like, but what if? And I'm sure yours does too. Like if you actually sit and think about, okay, what if, ChatGPT, or let's just go, ChatGPT is the we'll call it customer facing version. What if OpenAI were integrated into defense systems? What if somehow it decided that humans really weren't necessary? Like, I mean, your mind can go all kinds of wacky places, but there's a whole reality there, and that's what I said. I'm not going to get into here, but I would say for now, for the place that we're standing right here, it's not going to replace humans. Nor will it go Terminator on us. It's got a long ways to go. Does that mean future generations have to study at least 40 years to get a job, as they need to study up a lot more to get to in technology? Someone is asking from LinkedIn. I'm not sure I understand that question 100%. Future generations has to study for 40 years to get a job, as they need to study a lot more to get up to the technology. Yeah, I'm not sure I understand that question, but what I will say is I think ChatGPT, like if I were starting over from ground zero, I would still need something to guide me, right? I'd still need a path. I'd still need a thing to achieve. I wouldn't, for instance, say, I want to become a network engineer. I would still say, no, I want to get a CCNA. Why? Because that's a thing. It's a body of knowledge that's scoped into a nice little cube that I can say, okay, with that, I now have that body of knowledge that at least someone has said, some smart people have said, this body of knowledge will make you pretty competent as a network engineer. So much so that employers are going to say, yeah, we want to look for that body of knowledge, right? That CCNA certification on you. That's one of the whole reasons I think college degrees, oh man, I'm going off in a whole different direction here, and I won't, but I'd say I think they really, their usefulness is becoming more and more limited. That general body of knowledge that a college degree gives you, I think ChatGPT will accelerate. This is exactly the knowledge that you need to be successful in some of these areas. Again, whole other discussion we could have on that. Nathan, hey, it'll be interesting to see how AI enhances client brand connections in the near future. Totally. It'll be very interesting as well. I've seen a couple of examples of where people have ideas, and they literally say, hey, here's a paper napkin sketch of a website, and ChatGPT will generate the code needed to create that website. So it'll be interesting to see how the creative side is enhanced by ChatGPT, taking care of a lot of the back end stuff that often gets in the way of creative elements. Sergio, using it to generate certificates. Yes. Forense. I'm just going to say another question. So many names. I'm using it to make study notes, copy and pasting transcripts, and using it to generate study points. I think that's awesome. Going to exam objectives and saying what body of knowledge do I need to master this? It'll expand it out. Give me more information on this. You can almost ask it questions to enhance that knowledge. Jack, I'm stealing your comment. It actually wasn't my comment. I just assembled it all in one place. So I'll say the comment one more time. ChatGPT is an amplifier and an accelerator of existing skills and giftings. Joe, thanks. Yep. Thanks. Good to see you. Jesse, not sure, Jeremy Char. I can see a lot of jobs being amplified and accelerated away into non-existence. That's I will say, Jesse, true. I do see there's already lots of news that has been generated where people have begun replacing humans with OpenAI behind the scenes and not telling anybody. And then they get in trouble. They're like, oh, somebody discovered that. But the fact that they're doing, I mean, ignore all of the like, oh, we didn't tell you that your counselor was really a robot, right? If you ignore all of that behind the scenes, what that tells you is they are finding a way to replace a lot of professions. I wouldn't say professions, but niches, right, with OpenAI. So yes, I do think there's a lot there. Now, one thing I want to mention, Frank, you made me think of this. Just saying yours. He said you're a great teacher. Thank you. I appreciate that. One of the things I was thinking is when I was preparing for this, I'm like, I don't think ChatGPT, short term or long term, maybe, who knows the future, but I don't think it can replace a lot of the inspiration and excitement that comes from human connection. There's just the fact that you and I are talking together right now. I mean, yes. Whoa, it went blurry, right? You and I are talking together. You via chat, me talking to you through this camera right here. There's just something there. You know what I mean? Like I feel you and you feel me. And there's a fact that this is live right now that you're like, this is a thing. There's a connection there that you can't put words to. And sorry if you're watching the re-recording of this, but it won't be there. You'll be like, this is Jeremy on tape. There's something there. Whatever that is. I don't know that it could ever be replaced by OpenAI. I call that inspiration, connection. I think that once you have that, you can carry that into ChatGPT, but I think you're always going to reach back out for that human connection. I know many people that have already made ChatGPT their virtual friend. He never is insulting, right? This like I now have this friend that I know some of you are like, that's crazy. Is it crazy? Really? Like, no, it's not. Like but it's anyway. I'm way off the beaten path. So thank you for that, Frank. Okay, last couple of questions. Then I'll oh, they keep coming in. Sorry. Something or other chatted in. I've been using ChatGPT to structure and rewrite my DevNet notes. One thing that concerns me is how accurate the notes are after being rewritten. In your experience, is the AI able to accurately rewrite networking notes? So far, yeah. As a matter of fact, I just had someone I work with send me an email. They go, "Hey, does this sound okay?" It was an email that they were sending to a customer on, "Hey, your wireless networks are changing over this weekend. They'll have new names. It'll have new passcodes. It'll have, new. Here's what you need to do." And I literally took what he wrote, pasted into ChatGPT, and I said, the place that he's working at, this customer is widely known. They have a huge presence on the internet. They exist everywhere. And so I said to ChatGPT, rewrite that email in the style that somebody working for that company would like. And it literally took not only the technical notes of like, here's Praska, it rewrote this thing to where I was like, and I just screen capped it and sent it back. And he goes, ChatGPT will be the death of us all. The thing is again, enhancer. It is a amplifier and an enhancer and an accelerator of existing skill. He knew what he wanted to write. It was able to accelerate, amplify that into a format, just like you're talking with your DevNet notes. And hopefully you're getting some ideas of things that you can use it for as you do this. Jared, I think a lot of companies are going to begin doing a lot more cost benefit analysis on most entry-level positions. And I've thought of that. That would be a bummer. It really would. If we begin to replace entry-level positions with ChatGPT, but I do think that will happen. I think this introduces yet another skill gap. There is one already. You guys know this, right? There's a skill gap. There's education as we know it, right? Junior high, elementary school, high school, like, and then a gap between what's actually there and what's needed in the workplace, right? And right now we just kind of deal with the gap by just knowing that the first few years somebody gets out of school, it's gonna be like, they got to kind of figure out their way. That's where the real learning begins, right? So I do see another skill gap being created with ChatGPT because we won't be as willing to hire those entry-level positions and help people grow up. Maybe. I don't know. I think will ChatGPT start to be introduced in education? I think so. Like, just you saw what Khan Academy is doing, right? If we can begin training students to start relying on tools like that, I don't know. We'll have to see where that goes. Companies will undoubtedly. Oh yeah, a lot of people saying companies, no doubt. So companies are all greedy. They'll take every effort to minimize staff. Yeah, there's some truth to that. I wouldn't say they're all greedy, but I would say that they're going to go after what most organizations will go after. What is the largest amount of profit that we can make? Not all of them. We don't at VIA. That's not one of the objectives that we'll go after, is how large of a profit can we make. So I think it all depends on the company, but yeah, I think ChatGPT, at least in the corporate world, will be a long-term game changer. But that being said, thank you guys. A lot of awesome thoughts and questions, and I hope to do this a lot more. This is my first re-step into the video world. So yeah, I think I have nothing else to say other than I hope this has been informative for you, and I'd like to thank you for viewing. And that's it. How do I stop the stream?